Hey guys, it's Tilly, and today I'm here with a video that's a little different from what I've done recently. I feel like all I've been doing is posting book haul and wrap-up videos, so today I'm going to talk about one of my all-time favourite books, which is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak, and I'm also going to recommend books that if you liked The Book Thief, you should definitely read this one. So to get started, I'm going to talk about The Book Thief itself, which if you guys watch my videos, takes precedence in my main shelf here right behind me. This is my Markus Zusak shelf. Okay, so I've settled on holding my absolute original and favourite edition of The Book Thief. This was the first paperback one that I got of it. It is a signed copy, it is a bent copy, it is a copy that I have cherished and loved and that I have given to many people to read. This book is amazingly crafted, from the way that it is written to the characters to the storyline as well. I love this from the very first page. So this book centers around a young girl called Liesl, who is this brave and human and flawed, stunning character that you will immediately love. And Liesl is being transported alongside her brother to a new foster family. And on this train ride, sadly her brother does pass away, and when they are digging his grave and they are burying his body, Liesl picks up a book off the floor. And that is where her story and the title of this book comes into it, because she thieves her first book. And that is where this whole story begins, with Liesl finding these books and stealing them for herself, learning to read, learning the stories, and you follow her story throughout World War II. It is such a simple premises, right? You just don't expect this book to pull on your heartstrings so much, to open your mind to what it was like during World War II, and to see so many things that you haven't heard about during the war. So let me read the quick snippet for you. First, the colours. Then the humans. That's usually how I see things, or at least how I try. Here is a small fact. You are going to die. Hit me with a bolt of lightning, because that is the way that I want to die. On my deathbed, I want to die with The Book Thief on my chest as I close my eyes for the last time. I can probably rant for quite some time about why it is my favourite book, but I think it's time that I show you guys more great books to read, because I hope that every single person watching this has read The Book Thief and enjoyed it, and even if you didn't, I'm so glad that you read it, and yeah, I'm just sharing my love for this book. And other books like it. So one of the books that I think you should read if you enjoyed The Book Thief is Salt to the Sea by Rita Sepetys. In fact, there's going to be 2 books by Rita Sepetys in here that I have read that is set during the wartime and that I really do enjoy. But oh boy, this one in particular kills me. So this book is set in 1945 and follows 4 teenagers, and they're all on 4 different journeys. Some of their paths cross and some of them don't, but there are really hard-hitting moments in this book. You have thousands and thousands of refugees all fleeing to the coast to board the Wilhelm Gustloff, which is a big ship that's basically promising freedom and harbouring for these refugees trying to escape during the wartime. And so you have our 4 characters that are all trying to get to this boat or are already on this boat, and their journey on how they got there, the secrets that they keep, and the friendships that they make along the way. And there are, like I said, some hard-hitting sentences in this book. There's one sentence in here that has stuck with me ever since I read this book, and it just really shows the terror of war during this time. But this book, although it is very sad and dark, it is very life-affirming and uplifting and encouraging at the same time, and I think I really appreciate books set in wartime that can give you hope as well as showing the dark and despair of those days. Because at the end of the day, these characters and even the people in these situations have seen the light at the end of this dark tunnel that they are fighting to reach towards, and I think that itself is such an inspiring thing. And that's what I like to see in books that are based around war. Or should I say historical fictions. So the second book that I had by Rita Sepetys is Between Shades of Grey, not to be mistaken for 50 Shades of Grey, because this book is about 1,000 times better and you will enjoy it a hell of a lot more. So in this book you have 15-year-old Lena, and at the start of this book she's just preparing for school when there is a knock on her door late at night, and the police come in and they take her mother, her brother and herself and basically haul her into a train and take her to Siberia, where there is a camp there that she's going to get locked into. Sadly her father is separated from them, and in this Lena is trying to desperately keep herself alive, her family and her father in contact with them as well. And in this book you also follow a romance story, but it really does hit the hard truth of what it was like during the start of this war. So Lena was one of the first people to be taken to the camp. So in this you have how it was like in the very beginning days, how the people were treated, what they had to do to even get the camp up and running, and some of the sentences and situations that did happen in this book are absolutely horrifying. This next book that I'm talking about is out on lend to somebody, but that is The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. This book has sort of been recently released, I think it was February that we got it in, and it is one that has pretty much just swept the bookstore at the moment. Everybody is buying it, so I bought the book myself see what all the fuss was about, and very quickly it became one that I really enjoyed. So for those that don't know, the Tattooist of Auschwitz is actually based on 2 real people that were locked in the Auschwitz camp, and this author has basically gone up to the man in the story who is Lael, who was the tattooist, and she has asked him that she wants to write his story, and so they have worked together for many, many years to basically produce this book. So you follow Lael, who is the Tattooist of Auschwitz. He gets dragged to this camp, and when he is given the position to be a tattooist, he decides to take it and claim it. So that basically means that his job is to tattoo the numbers on every single Jew, any prisoner that comes through those gates at all. He gets to tattoo it onto their arms. And during this time, he managed to tattoo a young woman's arm that he then proceeds to fall in love with. I love this book reading from Lael's perspective because you get this hope that is inside of him, and no matter what, that flame cannot be doused. So you have him wanting to not only fight for his own life, for the love of his life's life, but anyone who knows him, he wants to help them. He basically uses his position to help everybody else, and it's a real good story of survival because you watch him from when he's first been put into this encampment to when he does manage to be free from it all. And it is really heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time. And if you guys do read this book, I highly recommend that you do some research on it as well, because there are countless interviews about this book that gives you so much more insight. Now this one is a super new release, and that is The Love That I Have by James Maloney. I haven't even read this book yet, and I'm already recommending it to you because one of my most trusted reviewers has read this book. They sat me down for lunch and they told me that this is going to be my next favorite book. And that's because she knows that I love The Book Thief, and she knew that I would love this, and I'm already trusting her opinion by telling you guys that you should read it too. I just ran all the way down here to go get this book from my bedroom, and I'm stuffed. My fitness level is at 0. So in this book you have Margot, and Margot has just taken up a job in the mailroom of a big concentration camp. But Margot herself is a German girl, so she's not aware of how bad these concentration camps are, how the people are treated, why they're even in there for, except that she has now got a paid job. And one day Margot is sitting there when her boss comes in and tells her to burn every single one of the letters that she was supposed to post that day, which means that these prisoners aren't getting letters sent to their families or their loved ones, and it absolutely breaks her heart, and she realizes that maybe the people within her own job and company are the evil people. And so she decides to steal a few of these letters and to read them herself, and she begins to form this kind of connection with certain prisoners inside of the camp. But they don't even know who she is, especially one prisoner who's called Dieter. And Dieter is writing letters to his girlfriend, and her name is also Margot. So basically it is like Margot's reading her own love letters. So this one I believe is a historical fiction romance, which I am an absolute sucker for. And I really hope this book does justice to the World War II area and genre, because I just have really high hopes for it, and I really hope it's going to be amazing. And if you guys have read it, please let me know how you like it. So this next one is a children's book. It is not actually based in a concentration camp, but much like Liesel's story, it is based on like a foster family. And this one is The War That Saved My Life by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley. The second book in this one is out now, but I have not read it just yet. And I'd also like to thank Tex for sending me this one out because I really enjoyed it. And this one also has the Newbery Honor Book. So this one follows Ada, who is a 9-year-old girl, and she's born with a deformity. So she has club foot, which means that she can't walk properly and her foot is growing on an angle. And this is during World War II when everything is starting to go down, and she can't really escape. Her mother is ashamed of her, so her mother doesn't let her leave the house. So she's locked in a small apartment. And then when these war sirens start going off, she knows that she needs to escape. Sadly, her younger brother Jamie, who is her mother's pride and joy, has been basically evacuated. He gets loaded onto a train, and Ada decides that despite her mother's humiliation, she is going to leave too, because there is no way that she's just going to stay there during World War II. So she sneaks out and she gets into a train with him and follows him. And it is there that she runs into Susan. So Susan is a lady who's being forced to look after these children. And Susan takes a liking to these kids and she still wants to help them. And it is here that Ada begins to learn a lot about herself, her unfair treatment, and during the war as well. And it's just real heart-wrenching, but it's also really heartwarming and uplifting. It is also a coming-of-age story that follows Ada and her brother. And I really, really love the family aspects, and I really love the relationship that Susan and Ada have in this as well. And I think it is a really important novel for people to read because, like I said, it's not only just set during the war, it's also a very family-based novel and learning to basically be loved for who you are. So that is some of the books that I highly recommend for you guys to read. They're my favorite historical fiction books, and I have read quite a few of them. If you guys do have any recommendations, please leave them down below and I'll try to check them out because it's one of my all-time favorite genres. And if you have any opinions on those books, I'm down to chat about them, so let's get chatting. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully I'll be back with another video again soon. And until then, I hope you guys have a lovely time and read plenty of good books. I also totally forgot what my sign off was because I know it definitely wasn't that. But anyway, bye! So let's get started. I have 87 books that I have recently got. I don't want to make this video way too long for you guys, so I'm going to kind of be quick going